Well, this sucks. How's it going, YouTube? Welcome back to a new video. Thank you guys so much for joining me. As you guys can tell by the title of this video, the GTI will no longer be in my possession. It will be being bought back from Volkswagen as a manufacturer buyback. And I've talked to a lot of people about this. I've told the story multiple times, but I've never really gotten into detail. And I wanted to personally document this for myself, as well as kind of share the story and share kind of what I've been through. So this is going to be all about that. So stay tuned. So I bought the car back September of 2020, I believe. And I bought it brand new. I bought it with 0 miles on it. And I loved it when I first had it. It was a really great car. It was fast. It was new to me, obviously, and it was a really good car. And I still really enjoy it, and I still feel the same way. However, about, I'd say 2 or 3 weeks into my ownership of this car, I ran into my first problem. And what it was I was hearing a noise on deceleration from about 2,000 RPMs down to about 1,500 RPMs. And it was specifically on deceleration between those RPMs, and it was a rattle that kind of came from like the front passenger side of the car. Bringing it into Volkswagen, and it turns out, and I read about this online a little bit, and they came to the same conclusion, that it is the fuel lines that run from the fuel tank under the passenger floorboards and obviously into the motor. And so what their fix was there wasn't really a fix for the GTI. However, for the GLI, there was a repair, and in which that they would put these little grommets, I believe is what they called it, to basically secure the fuel lines to keep them from rattling. Awesome. The car was there for a day while they diagnosed it, and they said they had to order the part. So I picked the car back up, and they said come back in a week, and then we'll have the parts and we'll install it. So I bring it back in about a week, and it took them about 2 days to install it. I asked them if they could give me a loaner car, which they could not. They same excuses every dealership uses, that they're all out of loaner cars, which is, you know, which take it as you wish, but it's never really true. But luckily they got that all fixed, and the car was great. So about 2 months later, I'm driving the car and I hear the noise again. I'm like, okay, well, we got to figure this out. And I hear this noise, and I drive it for, you know, a couple days, and sometimes it's gone, sometimes it's there, sometimes it's really loud, sometimes it's super quiet. So it varies, but progressively it is getting worse. So I bring the car in, and I'm like, hey, it's making the same noise, guys. I told them what the issue was. I explained it all to them. It kind of blew me off, in a sense. And they're like, all right, well, we'll have our mechanics take a look at it. Obviously, they claimed that they couldn't find the noise, which is fine. I understand it. It was pretty intermittent. And they said, bring it back when it's making the noise. So a week later, I bring the car back in. This was my 4th time going back to the dealership for diagnostics and repairs. And they were able to hear the noise, and they ordered parts again. I don't know what fix they did this time, but they fixed it, and the noise completely went away. On top of me visiting that final time, I explained to the shop supervisor, I said, hey, I'm getting another noise coming from the back passenger side of the car, and it's a little rattle every time I go over a bump. And I said, you're more than welcome to ride in the car with me. So he did. He sat in the back while I drove. I drove over a bumpy road. He was able to identify the noise. And I believe that while my car was in for the repairs the second time for the fuel lines, they were able to fix the issue that I was having with the rattle in the back. And I believe they took apart like my door, they took apart a bunch of stuff, and it turned out to be a loose shock absorber on that back passenger side. So luckily they were able to get that fixed that day. It was just having to tighten it. They went through all the shock absorbers, made sure they were all tight, which they were, thank goodness. And they sent me on my way. About 2,000 miles later, the rattling noise came back from the fuel lines. I was super frustrated. I gave them another call, and I was like, hey guys, like, it's been 5 times that I've had to come back to the dealership for these repairs. And they said, we are so sorry, we'll get right on it. I bring the car in, same issue obviously. And this time I was really pissed off because the dealership will send you these text messages with links to videos that the mechanic is taking of your car saying, hey, we found this issue, hey, we found this issue. And I was super frustrated because I get a video this 5th time and it's the mechanic talking to me and he's saying, hey Daniel, just taking a look at your GTI. I drove it around, I found the noise. So I took apart your glove box, I took apart your door, I took apart your floor liners, and I wasn't able to find the noise. And then I took apart the undercarriage where the fuel lines were and I found the noise. And it really frustrated me because every time that I bring it in, I tell them it's the same exact noise, it's the same exact issue. So obviously there was some huge lack of miscommunication, which caused them to take apart a lot more of the car than they needed to, which caused rattles whenever the bass hits on loud songs. So that's really annoying, and that's still not fixed. I just don't want to go back and have them fix that again and take apart half my car for something that I know what it is. So that was the 5th time I had to bring the car in. They told me, come back in a week while we order these parts. Understandable, same story. Come back in a week and they fixed the issue again. This was, I believe, 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago, 3 months ago, somewhere around there. And the issue still, it's gone now. I assume it will come back later on. But reading what they did a fix that's similar on the Volkswagen Atlas. So right away we could see that there is no fix for the GTI itself. That was really frustrating to hear. But I bring it in that 6th time, they fix it, the noise still isn't, it's not back yet. Then another day I was driving with one of my friends who was sitting in the passenger seat and he goes to grab the grab handle and the spring shoots out and hits me in the face. And I was like, well, that's really weird. And now the grab handle, it wouldn't go back up, obviously, because the spring wouldn't bring it back up. And so I bring it back to the dealership and I was like, hey guys, the spring popped out. I don't know how to put it back in. Could you guys possibly put it back in for me? And they looked into it and they said, look, like we've got to replace the whole thing, like the whole grab handle. Luckily, obviously the car is under a warranty, so I didn't have to pay for it. And luckily they also had one in stock, so I wouldn't have to come back a 2nd time. And mind you, this is the 7th time that I'm going back to Volkswagen. So I sit in the waiting room for about 2 hours while they're fixing this car. The shop guy comes out and talks to me and he's like, hey man, we tried, we got it off, but we don't have the right tool and our shop foreman's out today and he's got it in his toolbox and the toolbox is locked, so you're gonna have to come back again. Okay. So I bring the car back a 8th time. 8 times this car has been back to the dealership now. They replace the handle, that handle breaks. Luckily, it broke while they were testing it, so they put another handle in. So that's just its 3rd grab handle on that passenger side. Whatever, they were able to fix it same day. But either way, guys, I've been back to Volkswagen 8 times for repairs. So I call Volkswagen Care and I tell them, hey, I'm having a bunch of issues with this car. I think this is absolutely ridiculous. When I buy a car, I want to drive off the lot and I don't ever want to see anybody from that dealership again. Not in a rude way, I just think that that's how my car should work. And they were like, okay, so let's open a process. And the process took about 2 months. It was about 8 weeks. I had a really nice lady I was talking to. I think her name was Debbie. She would call me every other week, just check in on me, letting me know updates on the process, mostly just saying that, hey, it's still being reviewed. So about 2 months went by, like I said, with those, little bi-weekly updates. And I get an email from a man and he's saying, hey Daniel, we have reviewed your case. We've taken a look at everything. And from what we're seeing, this does not warrant a manufacturer buyback. However, we are able to offer you a settlement for the car, which pretty much means that they will give me like a certain amount of money as like an apology, which is great. Like, it's super cool that dealerships and companies can do that. I really appreciate it. However, I didn't feel like the amount of the settlement was fair enough to cover, my troubles. Mind you, I have put over 500 miles on this car driving back and forth to dealerships, so it's been super frustrating. So I emailed this guy and I said, hey, could you please give me a call? I don't think this is fair at all. And he says, yes, of course. And so he calls me and we talk about it, and I was like, look, man, I've had this car back 6 times for the same issue, those fuel lines. It's been back 6 times. Yes, it has not been repaired 6 times. It has been repaired 3 times. Every single time I've had to bring it back after 1,000 or 2,000 miles. So I expressed my frustration. I said that the settlement would not be enough. And finally he was like, all right, well, you know what, man, I'm willing to buy your car back. In fact, he gave me multiple options. He was able to raise my settlement, he would buy my car back, or he would replace my car. And he explained that replacing my car would be very difficult and it would be hard to find what I wanted, especially since the new models are coming out. And so that option was off the table. He said, drive the car for 2 weeks, let me know what you think. 2 weeks go by and I told him, hey man, you know, I've driven the car and I feel like it's personally best for me if I just return the car to you. I've got other vehicles, my family has cars. We've got way more cars than we do drivers, and so I can drive something else. I really don't need this car. So after emailing back and forth a couple times, he said, okay, I am able to email you So after emailing back and forth a couple times, he said, okay, I've got everything that I need from you. Now all that's left to do is for you to bring the car in. I'll send you a schedule with that, and the car will get inspected, and then it can be bought back and we can email you your check. So where we're at right now, I have an appointment to go in to get the car inspected. That will be, you know, my final drive of the car is me taking it back to the dealership. They'll take a look at it. Everything should check off just fine. And then we'll be good to go. And I'll give the car back to them. I have to ship them my title as well as a couple other documents. And they'll email me a check, and that'll pretty much be the end of that. The way that the Lemon Law works is that they are required to return every penny back to you. That's with the taxes that you've paid on the car. This car's paid off. I paid it off in about 6 months. But this car is completely paid off. So obviously I have the title and I didn't pay too much in interest, which is why I paid the car off so soon. But yeah, so besides that, they'll pay back the amount that I paid with taxes on top, all the packages that I bought, the state taxes and registration fees. So literally everything that I paid out the door will be going back to me, which is super great. I think that's awesome that there is such thing that exists for people that buy new cars. This does not exist if you buy a used vehicle. It's pretty much you buy it as is. But if you buy a new vehicle, you do have, I think this is, it varies per state, but in Utah, you have a year from the day that you buy it brand new. You have a year to kind of apply for it and return the car. Anything after that, if you have issues, your warranty will just cover you. And mind you guys, I haven't paid a single penny for this car for any repair work, which is awesome. I do have to say goodbye to this car. That's why we have put the stock exhaust back on. We put the stock intake back in as well. There wasn't any other modifications. I hadn't tuned it, mostly because I didn't want to wear out the clutch. But that's gonna be the end for the GTI. So whatever car is coming next, I'll make sure to film more content about that. For now though, I don't think that we're gonna buy a new car. Like I said, I have other vehicles, and just to have something to drive me around, I think I'll be buying a car in the next, I'd say like 6 to 10 months. I've got some big purchases coming up in my life that I do need to save up for. And that obviously means new videos, wink wink, right? If that's not foreshadowing, I don't know what is. But yeah, besides that guys, thank you so much for watching all of these GTI videos. I really appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for watching this video as well. Please like and subscribe. It does motivate me a lot to make these new videos. And yeah, we'll just see you guys on the next one. Catch you later.